Please like, share, and subscribe.
Since go up and day.
Mike, just so you know, I'm recording.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Roger.
Yes. YouTube viewers, during this time of silence, I advise you to pause this video and do whatever you need to do. Do whatever you need to do
Thank
now.
you, Heavenly Father, for another day that you've given us. Lord, I pray that you'll help us as we study your word, to help us to grow in the truth of your word, of what you're trying to tell us and show us. Help us in everything we do and say to give you the praise and the glory. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Turn to Matthew chapter 28. Matthew chapter 28. It talks about the resurrection here. It says, in the end of the Sabbath, the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. That other Mary is James's mother. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. This angel of the Lord here, I believe, is Jesus Christ. It says the angel of the Lord and the angel of God is always used in the singular. Some interpreters conclude that the angel of the Lord was the pre-incarnated Christ. Look at Genesis chapter 16. Genesis chapter 16. Look at verse 7. Genesis 16, verse 7. It says, and the angel of the Lord, this is where Sarah and Hagar hadn't been seeing eye to eye, and she ran away. The angel of the Lord found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way of Shinar, or whatever that word is. Sure. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, whence comest thou, and whence wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, return unto thy mistress, and submit thyself unto her hands. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for a multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. Now that right there tells me that only God could do stuff like that. And that leads me to believe that is Jesus Christ himself. Look at Genesis chapter 21. Genesis chapter 21, verse 17. This is again where Abraham sent her away and her child. And it says, and God heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven, and said unto her, what aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for God hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. So again, there, I believe that's Jesus Christ. That it says that it denotes an angel who had mainly a saving and a protective function. Look at Exodus 23. Exodus 23. Look at verse 23. It says, "For my angel shall go before thee, and shall bring thee into the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off." That means that he's going to destroy them. And again, I believe that is Jesus Christ that he's talking about. And it says, he might also bring about destruction. Look at 1 Chronicles chapter 21. Chapter 21 of 1 Chronicles. Look at verse 15. It says, God sent an angel to Jerusalem to destroy it. And as he was destroying, the Lord beheld, and he repented him of the evil, and said to the angel that destroyed, It is enough, stay thy hand. And the angel of the Lord stood by the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. And David lifted up his eyes and saw the angel of the Lord stand between the earth and the heaven, having drawn his sword in his hand, stretched out over Jerusalem. Then David and the elders of Jerusalem, who were clothed in sackcloth, fell upon their faces. There is also, in this instance, I believe that this was Jesus Christ, but we're going to look at other angels that it's talking about. Angels are spirits. That's in Hebrews chapter 1. Hebrews chapter 1. Look at verse 13. It says, But unto which of the angels said he at any time, Sit by my right hand until I make thy enemy thy footstool? Are they not all ministering spirits, sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation? That heirs of salvation, that's us.
Yeah.
And it says that they have not material bodies as men have. They are either human in form or can assume the human form when necessary. Luke 24. Luke chapter 24. Look at verse 4. It says, as they come, and it came to pass as they were perplexed thereabout, behold, two men stood by them in shining garments. And as they were afraid and bowed down their faces to the earth, they said unto them, Why seek ye the living among the dead? Now, these are angels that was sent there. Look at verse 23. And it said, when they found not his body, they came saying that they had also seen a vision of angels, which said that he was alive. So there it shows you that they can, well, when Abraham, I believe Jesus Christ was with the three. He was one of the three, and the other two was angels. But they was in human form.
Yeah.
And Abraham didn't know who they was until he asked where Sarai was.
God, where it says we have entertained angels unaware,
Yes,
does that mean they're in human form and we don't realize it?
yes, they could be in human form, and you not even realize it.
Because I think I've had that before.
Yeah, well, it's possible. Look at Acts chapter 10. Acts chapter 10. Verse 3. This is talking about Cornelius here. He saw in a vision, evidently about the ninth hour of the day, an angel of God coming in to him, saying unto him, Cornelius. And when he looked up on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? And he said unto him, The prayers and thy alms are come up for a memorial before me. Now send men to Joppa and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. Look at verse 30. Verse 30. And Cornelius said, 4 days ago I was fasting until this hour, and at the ninth hour I prayed in my house, and behold, a man stood before me in bright clothing. So there again shows you that they take on human form. It says angels belong to heaven. Matthew 24. In Matthew 24. Look at verse 36. It says, But of that day and hour knoweth no man. It's talking about the end of this age. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. Look at Mark 12. Mark chapter 12. Mark chapter 12, verse 25. It says, For when they shall rise from the dead, they neither marry. This is the Christian people, I believe he's talking about here. It says, when they arise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels which are in heaven. And it says, and to God. They belong to heaven and to God. Look at Luke chapter 12. Luke chapter 12. Verse 8. Luke 12:8. I think I'm in that place. Luke chapter 12, verse 8. It says, Also I say unto you, whosoever shall confess me before men, him shall the Son of Man also confess before the angels of God. And it says, and they are engaged in His service. in Psalms 103. Psalms 103. Look at verse 3. No, verse 20, I'm sorry. Verse 20. Bless the Lord, yea, his angels, that excel in strength, that do his commandments, hearkening unto the voice of his word. So there's a big difference between the angels in, I think anyway, in Matthew 28, and the angels that is used as messengers of God. Matthew 28 verse 3 is another reason I think it's Jesus Christ. It says, and his countenance was like lighting, and his raiment white as snow. Look at Daniel chapter 10. Daniel chapter 10. Five and 6. It says, then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of, I want to say Uphaz, but that ain't the right pronunciation. It's used something. But his body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lighting, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of the multitude. Go to Revelation chapter 1. Revelation chapter 1. Look at what it says there in that verse 11. It says, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. I skip down to 12. This is John writing here, and he said, I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. In the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to his foot, and girded about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hair were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. A lot of people misquote that. It says as flame of fire, not fire. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they'd been burned in a furnace. Every time I read that, I think of the 3 Hebrew children and the 4th man in the fire. And that's really what I relate that to, that where it says that his feet were like fine brass, as if it had been burned in a furnace. Well, he was in the furnace with them. And his voice as the sound of many waters. And he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. So that right there that's a description of, again, of Jesus Christ. And go back to Matthew 28. Let's start at verse 4. And for fear of him, the keepers did shake and become as dead men. And the angel answered and said to the women, Fear not ye, for I know that ye seek Jesus, which was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come, see the place where the Lord lay. There where it says, as he said, you know what he's saying there? As he said. Look at Matthew 12. Matthew chapter 12. Matthew chapter 12, verse 40. I believe that's where I was going. It says, For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. That's what he said there. That's Jesus talking. And then over here in chapter 28, it says, He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come and see the place where the Lord lay. And go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he goeth before you into Galilee. There shall you see him. Lo, I have told you. And turn to Mark chapter 16. Mark chapter 16.
YouTube viewers, when he's moving between passages, I advise you to pause this video and do whatever you need to do during those times.
Mark chapter 16, verse 7. It says, But go your way and tell his disciples and Peter that he goeth before you into Galilee. There shall you see him, as he said unto you. Why, when he said, go and tell his disciples, that should have included them all, but he stressed the point, and Peter. I'll try to show you why he said and Peter. Look at Mark 14. Mark 14, verse 27. Verse 27, it says, And Jesus said unto them, all ye shall be offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered. But after that I am risen, I will go before you into Galilee. Look here what Peter said. Peter said unto him, Although all shall be offended, yet will not I. And what he's saying, I'm not going to be offended. And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, that this day, even in this night, before the cock crow thrice, thou shalt deny me. Twice thou shalt deny me thrice. Look at Matthew 26. Matthew 26, verse 33. Peter answered and said unto them, Though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet will I never be offended. And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, this night before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. And Peter said unto him, Though I should die with thee, yet will I not deny thee. Likewise also said all the other disciples. You know the story how when he followed Jesus and the women confronted him, and then somebody else confronted him. He even started cussing and said he didn't know him.
Yeah.
But then when the cock crowed, he wept bitterly. He was offended. And I believe that's why Jesus made that statement, and Peter. Because he wanted Peter to know that he knew that he was offended after him lying. Basically, that's what he did. Go back to Matthew 28. Verse 8, and they departed quickly from the sepulchre with the fear and great joy, and did run to bring his disciples word. And as they went to tell his disciples, behold, Jesus met them, saying, All hail. And they came and held him by his feet and worshipped him. Now there's another place where he wouldn't let nobody touch him because he hadn't ascended yet. But here he'd already ascended to the Father and had come back. And when they were going, behold, some of the watch came to the city and showed unto the chief priest all the things that were done. And when they were assembled with the elders and had taken counsel, they gave large money unto the soldiers, saying, Say ye, his disciples came by night and stole him away while we slept. And stuff like that going on today. People will pay somebody else to cover up something for them, even in our government. And it says, and if this comes to the governor's ears, we will persuade him and secure you. So they're going to lie for them, to cover up for them. So they took the money and did as they were taught. And this saying is commonly reported among the Jews until this day. Then the 11 disciples went away into Galilee, unto a mountain where Jesus had appointed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. And Jesus came and spake unto them, saying, All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Look at Romans 14. Romans 14. Romans 14, verse 9. I'm going to start at verse 8. For whether we live we live unto the Lord, and whether we die unto the Lord. Whether we live therefore or die, we are the Lord's. For to this end Christ both died and rose and revived, that he might be Lord both of the dead and the living. So if he's here is the gospel, the death, burial, and resurrection, and where he revived, that's the power of God right there. And he's Lord of both the dead and the living. So he has all power. Look at Ephesians 1. Ephesians 1, chapter 10, or verse 10. 1, verse 10. It says that in the dispensation of the fullness of times, he might gather together in one all things in Christ, both which are in heaven and which are in earth, which are on earth, even in him. So again there, if he can gather together all things, he surely has got all power. Hebrews 1, verse 2. Hebrews 1, verse 2. Now we'll read the first verse. God, who at sundry times and in divers places or manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things. There it is again. So, by whom also he made the world. If he is got all power, he's got power over all things. 1 Peter chapter 3. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 22. It says, who is gone into heaven and is on the right hand of God, angels and authorities and powers being made subject unto him. So there again, it shows you the power that he's in control of everything. Revelation chapter 17. Look at verse 14. I'll start 13. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. So if he's Lord of lords and King of kings, there's nothing, no greater than that. Back to Matthew 28, verse 19. It says, go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Ghost. There's the Trinity. Teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I've commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Amen. Does anybody anything they want to add or anything want to say?
Roger, that description of Jesus in Revelation that you read, you know, I've read, and I'm sure you all have too, of these people who have said they died and came back, and they always talk about this bright light as a comfort, and Revelation says his countenance, his face, is as the sun is its brightest. And so, I guess these people are saying when we die, we're going to see this comforting bright light, and of course it's going to be Jesus, I guess.
I don't know.
I don't know, I've not died.
It's possible,
You know,
I guess.
people that have gone, they say they've had this death experience.
Yeah.
They talk about this bright light. Yeah, but I don't believe they died. Oh, I don't believe they died.
I think it was you that was talking about some woman.
I'm not done, I don't know.
She saw heaven, sure.
Buddy's experienced something similar to that with a person just before they passed away, that
She
they could
described,
see heaven.
she described heaven, and she said she'd never seen a white, that white, nor a sky that blue. Talk about how beautiful that blue sky was. It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
She was looking at the ceiling.
I went to Papa one time, they put me to sleep. And I don't, can't relate to anything after they put me out, but I was walking, and off in the distance I could see a bright light, and the closer I got, I could hear voices. And everybody was dressed in white. But it was real bright. The light was so bright, but it never hurt your eyes. And I woke up. They said they'd been working trying to get me awake for 3 good months.
Amen.
I don't know.
He was almost home. That's the only thing I could say.
Yeah.
He was almost home.
Oh, Paul, he went home and came back.
Yeah. Yeah. He saw some things that he couldn't utter,
Yeah,
and
he couldn't put them in words.
they give him a thorn in the flesh as a reminder to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
You want to dismiss it?
Lord, we thank you, Heavenly Father, this morning for what we've been listening to. Thank you for the one that stood before us, Lord. We pray you continue blessing him in his studies and his scriptures. Lord, help us and go with us now for the rest of the service this morning. Bless everyone that comes inside that door today. And God bless the ones that would like to be here and not able to. We ask these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Now, YouTube viewers, before this video ends, whenever you watch it again, when he's going between passages, I advise you during those times, pause this video and do whatever you need to do. Do whatever you need to do during the times when he's going between passages. Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe.